Join me as we learn Chumash for today for Shabbos, the 7th Torah reading of Parshas Tetzaveh, chapter 30, verse 1. Now that we've concluded talking about the different installation rites and what will happen on the time when Aaron and his sons will be then inaugurated to serve in the Holy Temple, there is one last vessel that the Torah has not yet discussed, which is the inner altar. The last Torah reading of Parshas Tetzaveh discusses this vessel. Verse 1, chapter 30. V'asisa mizbeach, and you will make an altar, k'miktar k'teres, one that will be used for burning incense, atzei shitim, made of acacia wood, tasa oisei, it should be made. Rashi, miktar k'teres, the purpose of this is going to be, lahalas alav kitar, to make a smoke, a cloud of ashen samim, of incense that will be made on it. Verse 2, what's the size of it? Amma orkai, it's going to be an amma, it should be a cubit long, fa'ama rachbe, a cubit wide, ravua yiyeh, and it will be then a square, v'almasayim kemosai, and 2 amos, 2 cubits tall, mimenu karmenoisaf, and from it will be coming out its corners. Protrusions will be coming out from it. Rashi. Next verse, V'tzipisa oisa, you will first then cover it with gold, zav ter, with pure gold, as gagoy, its roof, v'eskiroisav, and its walls, saviv, around it, all over, v'eskarnoisav, as well as the protrusions of the corners as well, v'asisa lezer zav saviv, and then you will make a gold rim all around of it. Rashi, as gagoy, zeh gag, this one had a roof. However, the outside altar, the copper altar, did not have a roof. Wherever they rested, they would fill the whole thing on the inside full of earth. Zer zav, what is this crown for? Simonu lekeser kuhuna. This was a sign to the crown of the priesthood, and around the top of the altar, the perimeter of the altar, there was this crown. Verse 4, you're going to make 2 rings you will make under the crown, on the 2 corners, on opposite sides. You're going to make it on 2 opposite sides. These rings are going to be for encasements for the poles, to be able to carry this altar. So there were only 2 rings on opposite corners, which they would then put the poles in to carry it. Rashi, tzaloisav. The word tzaloisav, kanu lashon zavis, means a side. Ketargumay, like the Targum explains, it was a side. Lafish nemer al shnei tzidav, as it says then afterwards on its 2 sides. Al shtei zaviyosaf shabnei tzidav. Those 2 sides is referring to the 2 corners which were on opposite sides. V'haya, these rings, ma'aseh taboisa elu, these rings will be as encasements to hold the poles. Lebatim levadim. This will be a box that with the ring in itself would be served as the pole would go in it, and that was the purpose of this ring. Verse 5. Then you will make the poles made out of acacia wood, and you will coat them in gold. Verse 6, and then you will place it in front of the curtain, which hides behind it the tent, the ark of the testimony, which is then directly in front of the cover, that the cover is covering the testimony, the tablets which will then be placed in it, which that is the place that I will convene to you from. Lifnei aparechas, Rashi explains, Shema Tamer, you may say, what does this mean? Before the parechas, but it was also before the cover. Which one was it? So you may say, Shema Tamer, Moshuch mikeneged arin, that the ark should be center in front of the ark. Latzafen eladarim, it should be put either to the north or the south. Talmud Leimar lifnei akapiros. Therefore, the Torah tells you it should be directly parallel to the cover. That means while the ark is on the inside, behind the curtain, directly opposing it or directly against it should be the altar, not to the north, not to the south, but directly in the center should be the ark. It should be the altar, which would be directly opposing the ark. V'hiktir, verse 7, V'hiktir alav Aaron keteda samim, and Aaron will then bring on it incense, baboiker, every single morning. V'hitive yesaneres, when he cleans out the residue of the candles. Yaktirena, that's when he will then bring the incense. Rashi, Behitive, the word Behitive means Lashin Nikoi Bezichan. This means cleaning out the cups from the wicks and the oils from the night before. That the cups that were on the menorah from the ash of the wicks that were burning the whole night before. And the Kohen Gadol would then clean them out. Bechol Baker every morning. Haneres, what does the neres mean? These bowls that were holding the wicks. Anytime it uses the terminology neres, doesn't literally mean candles, because there were no candles. They were wicks with oil that was burning. So over here, when he talks about neres, it's referring to the bowls that held the wicks. The only time that neres actually means candles, unless it says, and he will uplift the candles, means that he would light those wicks. Where there means, halah, to uplift, means to light. As we see in the next verse. Verse 8, and when Aaron will then burn, when he kindles the candles, bein arbayim in the afternoon, then he'll also bring the incense in front of God constantly for generations to come. Rashi, when he lights it, that then the flame will uplift, meaning the flame will then continue to burn. Yaktirena, meaning twice it says the word yaktirena, that he'll bring the incense. Every day there would be a portion, pras, makter b'shachris, or pras, makter ben arbaim. Because every day, twice they would bring incense. A portion of it he would do in the morning, and a portion of it he will bring as incense in the afternoon. Verse 9, Leisalul of Keteda Zara, you shall not bring upon it any other incense, v'oila or mincha, or an ascent offering or a meal offering, v'neisach leisischu alav, and on this altar you may not pour any libations upon it. Rashi, leisalu alav al mizbeach hazeh, what are we referring to? Don't bring upon it on the altar. Keteda Zara, shum keteda shel nadava, any type of incense which may be a donation, including this type of incense in its uncalled for time. Kulan zadislei, they're all foreign to it. Chutz mizu, the only one that can be brought in it is when it's appropriate time and its appropriate incense. V'oila mincha v'le'oila mincha, you're not allowed to bring any type of offering on it, not one of an animal or a bird, mincha or a meal offering, shalechem is of bread. Verse 10, v'chiper arin al karnoisaf. And once a year, the Aaron is going, as we're soon going to see, he says once a year, v'chiper Aaron al karnoisaf achas pashana. And once a year, Aaron shall make an atonement on these protrusions of the inner altar. Midam chatas hakipurim. What is he going to be using is the blood of the sin offering which was brought on Yom Kippur. Achas pashana, once a year. This will make an atonement for generation throughout your generations. Kodesh kadashim ul Hashem. It is holy of holies unto God. Rashi, v'chiper Aaron. What does it mean that he will atone? In this case, it means matan damin, sprinkling blood. Achas pashana, when is this? Once a year. But Yom Kippurim, on the day of Yom Kippur, this is what it says in the book of Leviticus. When it talks about in the book of Leviticus, discussing the holy service that was done on the day of Yom Kippur, that the high priest would then go out by the altar and atone. This is referring to the altar, the inner altar. Chatas HaKippurim, what is the sin offering of Yom Kippur? Himpar v'sar shel Yom Kippurim, this is the bull and the goat of Yom Kippur. Amchaperes al tumas mikdash ukdashav, which atones for the sins of the impurifications of the holy temple and the things there, if somebody went in unintentionally, or if somebody ate holy items unintentionally as well. Kodesh kadashim, it is holy of holies. Hamizbeach mekudesh l'dvarim halal b'lvad. That means the altar, it is considered sanctified, the holiest place, for these things and for these things alone only. And for no other things whatsoever. Interesting to note that we know that all the different vessels of the Holy Temple refer to a different place in a person's body. The inner altar is referred to the heart of the individual, telling us that that's the soul that stays holy and is the holy of holies of the individual that can never be contaminated with anything around it. This concludes the 7th Torah reading of Parshas Tetzaveh.